When I was 9 years old, I opened Meds for Kids Foundation, a now 501c3 accredited nonprofit in the state of Florida, whose mission is to provide underprivileged children in Bolivia with desperately needed medication and emergency care supplies. It's funny to think that as a 16-year-old today, I find myself doubting what more I can do. Like you, I find getting started on that project or homework difficult. So how did my 9-year-old self come around to starting up a nonprofit? How is it that my 9-year-old self then was more fearless and determined when it came to getting things done? The answer to those questions start all the way back at my roots. My dad is from the Dominican Republic, and my mom is from Bolivia. Both of those countries are poor and part of the underdeveloped world. The majority of my family lives in Bolivia, and ever since I was little, I've spent a lot of time there. With each visit, I would more clearly notice the difference between my life in America and the life of other children in Bolivia. My family has always been dedicated to helping others, and my parents instilled in me early on the importance of giving back. During these trips to Bolivia, we would always do something to help out, be it visit orphanages or hand out clothes and toys to kids on the street. My grandpa's a doctor in Bolivia, and during one of my visits, he explained that children in Bolivia don't die due to illness. They die due to poverty. This is because their parents can't afford even the most basic of medicines, like an ibuprofen. And that means that even a simple cold can easily become fatal. 60% of people in Bolivia live in poverty, with the number increasing to 75% in rural areas. These numbers are staggering, and it means that countless children end up suffering from illnesses without getting proper treatment due to their poverty. This was something that really bothered me as a 9-year-old, and I wanted to do something about it. But as you can imagine, I felt powerless to do anything, powerless to tackle that massive of a global issue. But then something happened. I was chosen by my Montessori school to go to the United Nations in New York. I was one of 3 kids chosen from my school to attend a Model UN-style conference for young children. But it was actually held in the General Assembly, and I got to sit in the Costa Rica chair and got to hear from so many great people. But that wasn't the highlight of the event. As a 4th grader sitting in that seat in the General Assembly, I felt empowered. We were treated like adults, and we got to vote on serious issues like nuclear non-proliferation. And it was there in that hall that I decided I didn't have to wait to grow up to create change and make a difference. As soon as I got home, I ran to my mom and I told her I wanted to open an NGO. She didn't understand what that was at the time, but she supported my crazy idea, and we figured it out together. Believe it or not, I can call my mom my secretary, which is what the official documents say, because as a kid, I couldn't file the paperwork myself. But this is when Meds for Kids was born. Since then, I've worked year-round to supply the children in Bolivia with medicine, with the medication they need. I started Meds for Kids off selling rainbow looms. I know you all remember these. And even though I sold them at like $10 a pop, I realized quickly that it wouldn't be enough for what the children in Bolivia needed. Each year, I've scaled up my efforts, going from selling bracelets to organizing 5Ks, to GoFundMe pages, and more recently, partnering with local businesses like Orange Theory Fitness, who hosted a class where all proceeds went towards Meds for Kids. With the funds I collect from campaigns like these, I go to Bolivia to buy and deliver medications to places like El Hogar de Dios, a shelter for children with brain paralysis and other severe health issues, El Hospital Oncológico, a center for children with cancer, or El Centro Nutricional San Luis, a center for severely malnourished children, and many other locations. Now, Bolivia's far away. I can't always go over there to help. So in the meantime, Meds for Kids also works close to home. I host an annual holiday toy drive in benefit of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Broward County, alongside Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospitals. Also, I organize drives in times of crisis to aid with disaster relief, such as Hurricanes Irma and Dorian. Now, although my story may sound surprising, I'm not the only young social entrepreneur out there. There are lots of other kids just like me who have dedicated themselves to fixing a problem close to their hearts. A few examples of kids like me include Joshua Williams, who opened Joshua's Heart Foundation when he was in elementary school, Hannah Taylor, a young girl who opened the Ladybug Foundation to help the homeless, and the Scott siblings, who opened Soul to Soul to provide shoes to impoverished children. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, some of you are late to the game. But in reality, this is a game you can't be late for. It's never too late to help out, and you, all of you, are capable of making a difference. There are so many ways that each of you can make an impact on the world, and I'm here to encourage you to do just that. Go online, find a cause you're passionate about, and do something to make a change. Each and every one of you has the power to be a social entrepreneur in your own way. Now, I'm not saying each of you have to go out and open your own nonprofit, because if every young person opens a nonprofit, great. We have a bunch of nonprofits dedicated to great causes, but no one to volunteer or donate to them because they're busy trying to run and fund their own. The real power comes from the people supporting those nonprofits, people like you. The people who put in that time every day, every week, or even once a month maybe, to do something for someone else. If everyone here becomes a mini social entrepreneur, we have the power to solve the global issues threatening our world. The one thing I want you to take away from this talk is that you can really make a difference. I know it's easy to think that you're just one person incapable of solving such a global issue like poverty, but the reality is you can actually make a huge change. I encourage you to go home today and find a way to get involved. If you want to work with Meds for Kids, go online and check out my website, medsforkids.org. Or come talk to me about Tutors for Kids, my new nonprofit to tutor middle school students nearby who can't afford tutoring. And if neither interests you, so be it. Find something that connects to you and do something, anything really, to change the world. Now, after all this, there's something else I have to tell you about. Besides the statistical effects of my community service work, besides the amount of money I've raised or the amount of medicine I've provided, or even the number of shelters I've aided, there is something much deeper, much more important that comes with community service work, especially service like mine that deals with children in very dire situations. Aside from these numbers are the personal connections and emotions that I've experienced throughout my work. I don't know if many of you know this, but when you're helping someone else, the person who you are really benefiting is yourself. Giving is proven to be healthy for the soul. And when it comes to my work, a lot of the children I work with can't move, can't speak, and can't really do anything without assistance. And I'll be honest, it's very difficult to be in those shelters sometimes. I cry a lot, and knowing myself, I might start crying any second now, because that's what happens when you do the things that I do. The emotions that come along seeing and experiencing things like this are extremely strong. When I go to the shelter, the extreme poverty these children live in just really hits me, and it hurts. I'm so beyond grateful that I've been able to make a difference, but unfortunately, sometimes it's not enough. Ever since I started helping at El Hogar de Dios, there was a little boy, Raimundo. Raimundo couldn't talk, and he could never be without pain due to the severe curvature of his spine and his cerebral palsy. But no matter what, no matter how much pain he was in, Raimundo always smiled. He was such a happy little boy, and he really motivated me to continue doing what I do. But I don't know if you've noticed, I've been speaking in past tense. And I'm doing this because Raimundo's no longer with us. A little bit before my last trip to the orphanage, Raimundo passed away from his conditions. It's moments like these that make my work so difficult, knowing no matter how hard I try, I can't save everyone. There will always be little boys like Raimundo, and I've had to learn to live with that loss. But on the other hand, there is something so amazing about seeing the kids that I have helped, the kids that are now thriving and living life to their fullest potential. And my favorite example of this is Yasmani. Yasmani is one of the healthiest boys at the shelter. He can talk and he can move around a little bit. And every time I go to the orphanage, Yasmani gets so happy, and you know why? Because to him, I don't mean music. I don't mean money. I don't mean medicine. I mean music. I mean Marco Antonio Solis. Each time I go, Yasmani gets so excited because that means he gets to sing karaoke at the top of his lungs as I play it off my phone. Whenever I go to the shelter, Yasmani is one of the first I go visit because Yasmani is proof to me that I'm having an impact, a positive one. Yasmani is my success story. And each time I go to that shelter, he greets me enthusiastically because no matter what he may be going through, when he sees me, he realizes he has another chance to sing out loud to his favorite songs. Thank you.